All right. Sorry about that. We were looking at the game Full Happy Season and Super Chester. I am the coach Brian Wilson, organizer of the World Junior Online. If you would like to become an Implodian or play in one of the World Junior Online tournaments, go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. What's an Implodian? Implodian is a kid who uses a system of imbalances. They learn how to plan with the differences that they see on the chessboard instead of just any memorization. And that's the system that we teach, a system that I created, IMPLODS, teaching my 3-year-old son, who became a top 100 player all the way until he was a senior in high school. So it works. Currently, we have 7 top 100 players using that system, and that's top 100 in their age group. So if you would like to get details about that system and about those lessons, go to MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. Also, shout out to our sponsor, Wonderful Clothing Line. Just dropped a new logo, hoodies, and t-shirts available there. You can find that at bcwarts.com, bcwarts.com. Now we're watching Champion Super Chester, World Junior Online number 7 champion. So she is the defending champion of the WJO. And she has black. It was a struggle in the beginning. There was a moment where white could have gained a significant advantage with space in the center, but missed the opportunity, and now E5 square is plugged up. And as long as the dark squares are controlled here and the pawn wedge of E4, D5, C4 stays here, the bishop on A2 is a bad piece. Also, what kind of pawn is on C4? That's an imbalance. This pawn is called a backwards pawn. This is the plan when you're going against a backwards pawn. First thing you want to do is control the square in front of the pawn. The second thing you want to do is trade the pieces that can control that square. And then you just double your rooks, maybe put your queen behind 2 rooks if that's possible, and then you attack the pawn. Now, does that mean you're going to win the pawn? No. That means your opponent has to defend the pawn. And once your opponent's pieces are tied up to defending the pawn, then you're going to have extra freedom and movement to go to another part of the board if you can't win the pawn. Remember, that's the principle of 2 weaknesses. Just to beat good players, 1 weakness a lot of times is not good enough to win the game. As you see here, he plays queen a4, attacking the a7 pawn. Now, my thing is, can he actually win that pawn? Is it actually possible for him to try to win this pawn here? I'm not so sure. You have the move queen to c7. If queen takes a7, then the queen is trapped with rook a8. You don't want to do that. You even have the move queen e7 as well, because if queen... Oh, no. She plays a5 here. And so it looks like her plan is to play bishop a6, but the problem with what black has just done is now she gave herself a backwards pawn that's on an open file. Remember, a backwards pawn is only weak if it's on an open file, which both pawns are. So there's a backwards b6 pawn for black, backwards c4 pawn for white. And that's the breakdown of Full Happy Season, challenging the World Junior Online champion, Super Chester. All right, let's go to another game. Shout out to everybody that's watching us live on YouTube. Gonna refresh the screen here.
Alex, are you still playing?
Now we're watching Johnny Stick versus Blue EP Chess. Johnny Stick representing Bates Academy in Detroit. Strong powerhouse chess school there. And he has 10 minutes to blue piece, 8 minutes and 33 seconds. I like Johnny Stick's position here with the bishop on b6 that has this really nice diagonal here. And if you look at white's knight compared to the bishop, the knight is sitting here on a2. Not a good piece at all. And so I believe Johnny Stick has to probably bring his rook into the game and maybe make a trade on f8. Because right now white's rook is dominating the f file. You can see white planning to play something like queen f3 later. But Johnny Stick is doing the correct thing, taking his time here, using his time advantage. He had more than a 2-minute advantage on the clock. And in the Lichess ratings, these two players are separated by almost 200 points. Blue EP Chess has a Lichess rating of 1637. Of course, this is a USCF online rated tournament, so Lichess ratings means absolutely nothing here. But it does give a guideline to how strong both players are when they're playing online or on the website. This is not a good move here by Johnny Stick, who then again, I'm going to tell you guys, Johnny Stick as well, the advice I can give you is please look up guys, please look up Bad Bishop videos. Just go to YouTube and look up Bad Bishop videos, because Johnny Stick, what he just did is he made his bishop bad. You don't want to limit the squares that your pieces control. So he pushed a pawn here, but now all white has to do is push this pawn to e4, and then he's going to look to probably put his knight on f5. So he did do that, and now all of a sudden the bishop on b6 is a terrible piece. And that's only the doing of Johnny Stick. Johnny made the bishop a bad piece by putting a pawn on the same color as the bishop, when before black was completely better in this position. Bishop better than the knight. Now this knight is going to go to c1, to e2, to g3, and to f5 as a plan. There is a potential for an opening of the c file here, where it could be some rooks lining up here. So maybe Johnny Stick's plan is to go c takes b5, c takes b5, and then bring the rook here to the c file. But it still didn't require him to block his own bishop to do that. All right, so let's go to another game. Let's look at 10th Teeth. A veteran of the World Junior Online, has played in many events. Has won many trophies as well. We see here now. We're seeing some pretty good quality games from the kids today who are taking their time. Look at this game here. It's a bishop versus knight, another bishop versus knight game, even material too. The only differences, other than the bishop and the knight, is the two different files that's controlled here. So black has control over the C file, while white has control over the D file. Now it is white to move. About a 3-minute advantage for Leon 1357. He goes queen e3, protects the e5 pawn here, so there's no weakness there. And looks, maybe he wants to go for a knight versus rook game, and maybe his plan is to go rook to c1. He probably should have played something like h3 to make sure there's a luft for the king. What a luft is a space that the king can run away in case there's a back rank checkmate threatened. These two players' record against each other is 2-1 10th Teeth. 10th Teeth has won 2 games, and Leon has won 1 in their matchup versus each other. As we see, Leon 1357 with the black pieces is thinking here. Playing the move a5 could be not as good as you think it would be. Now we would like to have this knight on d6 for sure. How could we get this knight on d6? I would say knight d3. No, we would have, it would be a process to bring this knight all the way to d6. We would have to go to, actually we would have to go to b5 somehow, but there's no way to get the knight there right now. As Leon is thinking with black, whether he should play a5 and kick the knight back here. And it's possible, because where does this knight go after a5? He could go to, he could definitely go to d5, but then we'll just take that. And then rook takes, and then maybe the move queen to e6. So he goes queen to b5, which covers d5 here. Makes some sense. And now his threat is to play a5 here. So pretty good move by Leon. Also a move where he showed patience here. Everyone looks like they're trying to get the game of the week. And the game of the week is a new reward that we're giving out, trying to encourage kids to pick the best moves. You know, sometimes kids could look at a game and say, hey, this game will be hard. But I think kids will have more courage, and it's a better teaching tool to teach kids how just to play the best move that they can play and not the best game. Because the game is so humongous and so big of a moment, and so big. So in the beginning, you shouldn't be thinking about the game. You should be thinking about what's the best move. When you're looking at a house, a big brick house, it looks pretty. But if somebody tells you to build a brick house, you're going to look at the enormous job that is and probably get intimidated. Or some people will get intimidated with something like that. But if you just think about building the house by building each brick perfectly, then you don't even think about the bigger aspect of the house, and then that gives better performance. And that's what we're trying to encourage here at the World Junior Online with the game of the week. And that game has no inaccuracies or no blunders. I mean, no mistakes and no blunders. Maybe you might have a couple inaccuracies. That's okay. That's not the end of the world. But a mistake and a blunder, that changes the dynamic of the game. Jeffrey Zane gets me. Jeffrey Zane gets me. Oh no, that's Jeff Zang, which is Nathan Zang, I believe. Says he's 1-1 against 10th Teeth. All right. So now the kids are, now what happened here? 10th Teeth plays queen to g5. He drops the e5 pawn. But why did he drop it? It looks like he wants to just trade here. Rook to d8 check. That's forcing rook takes d8, queen takes d8 check. And then king to g7, and there's nothing else. Maybe he thought maybe he can get a draw out of it, but it doesn't work after queen takes e5. This is just pawn, this is pawn droppage. It's never good. Pawn droppage is never good, as my friend Barnett says. All right, let's go to another game. Okay. All right. We're going to refresh a little bit here. We'll get back to the marquee game, which is the World Junior Online Champion, Super Chester versus Full Happy Season. We're going to go down here. Tater Gator 24 versus Tacky Element. Tacky Element has 3 minutes, and Tater Gator has 6 minutes and 36 seconds. Again, another position where the material is even. I will say the quality of this first round compared to all the other tournaments has been very high quality, even though there's not many players here. there is the multiple games that we've looked at were games where no one was down any pawn or piece. The play is pretty even, and both players are taking their time, and everyone is going down to the last drop of time. Look at Taki Element trying to keep the space advantage here on e5. Now there is a d4 move because black does have a protected passed pawn here. But just because you see a protected passed pawn does not mean it's a good thing. The move d4, I believe, is a bad move. Why? It gives up the e4 square or the c4 square for a knight to sit on. And knights it's always a good thing to get a knight into the center of the board here. Now we see f6. Black is attacking the space advantage for white, wanting to open up a file for the rook here. And that could be a bad decision for white because there's a dark square bishop, and a rook f2 could be a target later on. So here, I would really look at playing e6 here. He does play e6. And maybe even bringing my rook to the center as well as he attacks this queen here. Where does this queen go? This game is going to be, I believe this game is going to be filled with some fireworks pretty soon. So that game is going to explode. All right, so he goes queen e8. He leaves the square d5 hanging here. I'm wondering, we could play the move queen to, he goes queen to d3. I'm not so sure if that was the best move at this point. There's rook d8 is going to come here. And black, I think, still has pretty decent control over this game with just a lot of space here. These pawns are very strong where they are. If you move one, then that's a whole different story because they leave weaknesses. These are the hanging pawns imbalance. And if you guys want to learn more about the hanging pawn imbalance, which is under the balanced pawn structure, all you gotta do is look it up. There are so many YouTube videos that explain what to do when you are facing the hanging pawns or when you own the hanging pawns. Because remember, an imbalance is not a weakness either or. It's just a difference on the chessboard, and it's up to you guys to break down those differences. Here you go. Jeff Zhang says, pushing the pawn may be good, because it restricts, So I guess Jeff, you're referring to d4. It restricts the pieces. I don't think in this position it does. Not in this position, because if you push d4, you're gonna immediately get the knight on c4, and then also the e5 square is already weak. And this was a blunder here. Oh wait, yep, this was a pretty big blunder by Tater Gator here to give up d5. I don't understand what he was thinking about there. Looks like just to play bishop. We see this move, knight to a7. Now, that move was played by Tater Gator way too fast. Remember, guys, you should be thinking about for 15 seconds per move. There is a 5-second increment, so it's still hard for you to lose on time when there's an increment in the game. So accuracy is something that you guys can attain. And now after knight c6, you see the black knight could go into e5, rook d8. You have knight to d7. This is looking better and better for white here. Also have the move knight to c4 could be played here. And here, Taki Element goes for a trade here. And I'm not so sure that trade is good here because even though there's a passed pawn there, Taki Element is not thinking about what's going to happen to the pawn Afterwards here, I know he sees that the bishop on e7 is being attacked, but after bishop f6, the bishop hits the knight on a1, and then one of the rooks are gonna come to d8. The pawn can be guarded by the knight on e5, but that is a move that Tacky Element played without calculation. Black did not take this, instead played the g6 move here. And this is getting good here. Tacky Element has 1 minute and 20 seconds left. Ah, I see there. Yes, right. Okay, Jeff Zhang, got you. The pawn on e6 was restricting the pieces for sure. That pawn on e6 is definitely a monster now, right? Because it has the support of a potential knight on g5 and a rook on e1 currently. So it's a monster. Yes, that's right. That's right, Jeff Zhang. Shout out to Jeff Zhang. I think the parent of Nathan Zhang, maybe. I think the Zangs are from California. We appreciate you participating in the World Junior Online from Cali. Showing Cali love here. I am from Michigan here, but the World Junior Online have no borders. No borders for online chess for the kids at World Junior Online. And this is still a high quality game here. Even though black is down a pawn, the pawn right now is blockaded. Now, what black would like to do, of course, rook to b8 is a strong move hitting the b3 pawn. Black wants to blockade this pawn, most likely with the knight. Knight takes a5. That is pawn droppage there. And this is going to be tough for Tater Gator now as he goes below 1 minute and 40 seconds left in the game. That's right. Knight a7 is a mistake, Jeff Zhang. That's right. Knight a7. I don't know where he wanted to reroute that knight, but that changed the game. That definitely changed the accuracy of black's game by moving the knight to the back rank. As we see the move e5 now, that move was, wow. What happened there? All those moves that just happened there were so quick without thought. This move e5 e7 that was played, all black had to do was go rook to e8. And that pawn is gone. It's a free pawn. But instead, black sacrifices his bishop for the pawn. Ouch. So Tater Gator is now losing this game. That's right, Jeff Zhang. The g6 move was questionable, but we're going to go to another game as, unfortunately, Tater Gator has blundered. But wait a minute. There is, oh, no. Attack element to puts the fork on as Tater Gator moves the knight to b5. So let's go to another game here. Most of these games are probably ending or have ended. Let's go to Full Happy Season and Super Chester. We see that Super Chester is completely winning this game, up a bishop against a pass pawn. Pass pawn can't queen past the bishop because the bishop controls the queening square. So that game is over here, or is winning for Super Chester. As long as she doesn't catch the winning disease, she should be fine. All right, let's go to Tim Teeth versus Leon 1357. Tim Teeth has 38 seconds, and Leon has a bishop. Now, what Leon missed here, Leon missed a pretty decent shot here, which was bishop takes g2. Because if king can't take, but the queen is the only one that could take, and then he goes queen to c1. The reason why Leon missed that is because he's moving too fast. And remember, guys, you want to, now look at what's happening here. You want to take 15 seconds per move. You have 5-second increments, so you do not have to move fast. He plays queen g4. Looks like he's looking to play rook to h5 check. And then king to g1. And then what's next here? Okay, he plays f5. There's going to be a rook c7 check coming, plus maybe a queen to c1 check, but instead he plays queen to e1, maybe threatening, I don't know, rook c7 check, queen e7 check. But now there's going to be a queen to h3, threatening mate on h1. Y'all have, but the problem is, will there be a perpetual check if you go queen h3? And that's what Leon is looking at now. I am going to say, I don't know. Oh, he's gonna block with the rook here. Now see what happened. White should have played rook check and not queen c3 check. Now the move rook to g5 is gonna come here. No more checks for white, and then the threat of queen g2 checkmate is game over. Leon 1357, Implodian himself, is winning this game by more than winning this game by a bishop, but also has more than a minute in time. As Leon is thinking here, he did play rook g5. There it goes. That's the winning move. Queen to g2. Mate in the face. Mate in the face here, and you can't stop it unless you sacrifice. You got one move. You can sacrifice the queen for the rook on g5, and then king takes. As 10th teeth time run out, he does play. And now Leon is going to go queen to g2, and he's going to ask, what did the Australian guy say to the waiter? Can I get the checkmate? Ah. And Leon is thinking here. I don't know why he's thinking, but he's gonna. There you go. That's checkmate there. All right. How many games do we have left? Up. That's the end. So we have completed round 1 so far. And now it's time for our shoutouts. We have 11 players in this tournament today. Let's start with Super Chester, Leon 1357, Tacky Element, Implodian, Tall, Foamy, Angel, Strange Boat, Implodian, Johnny Stick from Bates Academy, Blue, EP Chess, Full Happy Season, Tater Gator, 10th Teeth, and Lightning Alex. We will be back in about 12 minutes. Peace.
So that's 1 o'clock, everyone, technically. Best thing to do.
1 o'clock.
1 o'clock Eastern time. I know you said 12 minutes, but to allow yourselves time, you can use 10 minutes. So I would say just be back by 1 o'clock Eastern time. So for you, Chicago or Illinois, that would be 12 o'clock your time. Alex Z left. Okay. Alex Z, are you still on? What's your username in Lee Chess?
Lightning_Alex.
Say that again.
Lightning_Alex.
Lightning score. Okay. Thank you. So so Alex, are you Strange Bolt?
No.
Alex Z?
No.
Oh, okay. I couldn't see him. Oh, that's why. Okay. It will not show me the second page. Oh, yes, it is. Sorry. Thank you, Alex. One minute. Okay. Thank you, Nathan.
30 minutes?
Yeah, Drew.
The problem is I'm using the same device to Zoom, and I'm using to play.
So you're on the same device for Lead Chess?
And Zoom.
Wait, is he on an iPad or a laptop?
Yeah, what
iPad.
Oh yeah, that's why. If you switch tabs on iPads, your video will turn off. If you're on a laptop or something, it won't.
Okay.
For some reason, for me, it says I already won. Like, I just... What do you mean?
Okay, we are back here. And this is the second round of the World Junior Online Tournament. Make sure that you get your chess lessons and sign up for our February slate of World Junior Online Tournaments at MichiganJuniorChessArena.com. Also, our sponsor, Wonderful Clothing Line, just dropped a new line. You can see that at bcwarts.com. bcwarts.com. Get that gear, that drip. For those of you who don't know the slang for drip, that means some nice clothing. Hoodies and t-shirts with very nice logos. Drip. All right, let's get into the games here. Our marquee game here is this Tall Foamy Angel versus Blue EP Chess here. And we see this started as a Sicilian defense from Blue EP Chess here. And it's not an open Sicilian because White played this move Bishop to C4, which is not common. Mainly, the reason why White plays this is a lot of lower players like to play Bishop C4 against everything because they usually see the move E5 and not C5. So they play the same setup. But against the Sicilian defense, it's not as good because a lot of times you get hit with E6 and D5. And that is the biggest problem here. Even though right now it's okay, like E6 and B5 and B4. So Black usually is better in these types of setups in this opening. As we see E6, there's B5, and then B4 could have been played here, but instead he plays Knight to E7 so he can get in D5 at the right time. There's A4, B4, Knight has to go back, and then Castle here. And already I think that Black has a really, really good position here. As we see knight to d7, why knight d7? Either to go knight b6, but the main reason for playing knight d7 is to protect the c5 pawn, because Black wants to expand in the center by playing d5. And if Black would have done that the previous move, for instance here, d5 drops the c5 pawn here. So the biggest imbalance here is, now this is a fluid center here. No pawns don't have contact with the pawns are not attacking each other for Black or white. So the structure can be changed. You have a pawn break on f5. You have d5 here. This pawn structure, you play e5. Pawn structure is very fluid and very flexible. Now, Black is going to put pressure on the queen side of the board. You see the nice bishop on a1, h8 diagonal. As we see, d4 is played here. And this is something I don't like. You can see the move bishop a6 being very annoying here. I don't like what White did there, because White has his king in the center. And just to get the pawn, to push the pawn d4 in, you have to worry about your king being in the center. So when you see something like this, guys, we have to be aggressive when the king is in the center. So one thing we want to do when we have a development lead is open the position. We want to open the center up as much as we can, so we can potentially get to the king before it gets developed and castled. Or just start attacking with our pieces' weaknesses on White's half of the board, because more pieces out, the better the attack is for the more developed side. What's going on, Paulina Pedraza? Marcel P007, former World Junior Online Champion, is here in the chat, just saying hello. Shout out to Marcel. We'll see you in the future World Junior Online tournaments for sure. Marcel, one of the most talented K3 players in the whole nation. I believe Marcel is from Illinois, I believe. I think. Now look at what Black is doing here, trying to open this position up. That is exactly what you want to do. He takes back with the d5 pawn. Now the queen has to move away, which takes away from White castling abilities. So blue EP chess is playing really, really good at this point. And so you're gonna have like the a4 pawn is weak as well. Moves like knight to b6 after the queen moves. Now it's all about where does the queen move here. Maybe, I don't know, queen to c2. Maybe that square is the best square, but then you got to make sure there's no possibility of b3. Just simply sacrificing the pawn to keep the initiative going, because right now the initiative is going big time for Black here. Now here, you want to be aggressive here. I'm looking at the move knight f5. Of course, that gives up a pawn here on c5. But I'm thinking, can we actually play the move d4? And then bring the rook to e8 with the check after the bishop is moved away. So like knight to f5. Of course, if he castles, we win the c pawn with c takes d4. Attacking the bishop there. So I think maybe knight f5 is the aggressive move that you want to look at when the other person's king in the center. The imbalance of development, guys. When you have a development lead, there's two rules. Open the position and be aggressive. Open the center and be aggressive. If you have more pieces out than your opponent, don't hesitate to attack. Everything that your coach told you not to do, you do it anyway when you have a development lead. That means you have more pieces developed off the back rank. Knights and bishops, by the way, not queens and rooks. knights and bishops off the back rank, and especially if your opponent's king is in the center, that means you gotta rip their head off, open the position immediately, create an attack, sacrifice a pawn, sometimes even a piece, just to keep the king in the center. That's where you're going for a first round knockout. And Blue EP Chess is thinking here. What should Blue EP Chess do? Knight F5 looks like the knockout blow. C4, he might be thinking about sacrificing his pawn, which is possible. C4 and then Knight C6 could be a good move there. Actually, Knight C6 could be a good move too. It's just that Knight F5 gives a little bit more options here. Now, I will say this. Knight C6 does drop the D5 pawn. So maybe that might not be the best move here. I would say Knight F5, Queen takes D5, and then just take here on D4. And just open up the center of the board and deliver a rook check there. I think that's going to be more than enough play. All right, we're going to go to another game here. Wow, it's only 3 games left here. Not many participants in this tournament. We only had 11 kids in this tournament for today. We're going to start a new month here where there's going to be new players coming in for the month of February. And I can't wait to see those new players join our group of World Junior Online players. Let's take a look at Tacky Element versus Leon 1357, Implodian versus Implodian. And they have played before, especially when in the Michigan Junior Arena. And actually, even though that was a Michigan Junior Arena, we had kids from all over the world play in that league. Now, what was that? A league? Yes, they got drafted, guys. They got drafted. As we see Tacky Element go, knight takes a3. Why? Oh, the knight was trapped here, so he says, hey, I'm going to get 2 pawns for it. Now, Tacky Element does have some compensation for that piece. There's 2 passed pawns here, and he's going to want to get behind those passed pawns and push those passed pawns to make up for being down the piece. And those passed pawns, they're connected. So if he's able to get those coordinated going down the board, they're going to be worth a piece. So that was a good decision by Black to sacrifice there. As we see Queen A1, this is a good decision by White here, because White says if you move the queen, I am going to go Queen takes A3. As Tacky Element thinks about that, now what he has to do is probably play Queen takes A1 and Rook to C7. Or Rook to A8. Might even be better. Rook A8 is the best move. Yes. So Queen takes A1 and Rook to A8. And just get behind these pawns and start to push these pawns. And this is going to be a tough one for Leon. I do think White is better, but White has to control the squares in front of the passed pawn. And really has to use accuracy here. The career record with these two is Leon. They've played 10 games. And Leon 1357 has a score of 6-4. And out of those 10 games, there has been 8 draws, guys. So this is pretty. I mean, even though there's a 6-4 score, Leon has won 2 of the games. There's been so many draws with these two. As we see a trade there and then a push of A5 here. Now, the biggest problem with A5 is now there's, well, nope, he goes knight to C1. Now, looks like he wants to go knight to D3. Black also has to figure out how to get the knight in a position to help the pawns go down the board. There is a chance to go A4 because there couldn't be a rook takes A4 because a rook takes C1 checkmate. So he can push this pawn farther. He plays rook to C4. And Black actually needs to, first of all, he wants to stop this knight from going to G5 if he's going to get the king in the game. So we would like to get the king in the game by going king F8 and bringing our king all the way over here to C6 to help the pawns promote. But the problem is knight G5 would attack the unprotected H7 and F7 pawns. So before we get to that, we're going to have to play moves like F6, which I believe F6 is better than H6. But H6 is okay too. As he plays knight to E2. Now we're probably going to see the move B5 here by Tacky Element. This is that was a really strong plan by Tacky Element to sacrifice knight for these 2 pawns. These 2 pawns look like it's going to become a problem. This looks like it's going to be a problem here. Now here he can't make a quick move. I think that if he makes a quick move here, he has to really watch it. Now he could play B4. It looks like it's okay because the knight D2 move attacking a rook is answered with rook C2, which skewers 2 knights on the second rank. So he can play B4 and push a pawn a little bit further, a little bit closer to the end zone. That's where we're trying to get a touchdown with these pawns and grab a queen and win the game. So that's what Black is trying to do. Very, 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 very good imbalance of material. So the material imbalance was a knight for 2 pawns, but not just any 2 pawns. Because a lot of people say, hey, the knight is worth 3, the pawns are worth 1, so that's 3 for 2. But no, these are passed pawns. So that's a big difference. So these passed pawns are not worth 1 anymore when they are passed and they're together and connected. These pawns are a whole different level. As you see, there's knight to C1. He has to think whether he could play B3 here. But if he plays B3, it's going to be hard for him to coordinate his pawns here. So he is really going to need the help from his knight. Now, B3 after moves like knight A2 is okay because it brings a tempo. There is something to be said about taking this too, because if he's able to get 2 pawns on the 6th rank, those pawns will beat the rook. So it's something to be said for that as well. Now there could be, okay, so there's a knight D2 that could show up here. Rook C2. Of course, if rook takes B4, there's rook takes C1. Check first, king moves, and then the knight will actually move back to D1 and can block the back range checkmate on F8. As we see, king H2, not allowing any capture of the knight with check. So that line that we just talked about doesn't work anymore. And here I wonder if you have to play the move Now, right now, knight d2 doesn't actually work, so he's okay now. Knight d2, and you get hit with rook takes e5. But black has to, what Tacky Element has to do is bring the king into the game, and not keep his king into this constant threat of a back rank checkmate. The position is not going to get worse for black, and I believe black is better in this position, by the way. These two passed pawns are better than a knight in this position. But when you have a position that's so good, don't be in a rush to do something. Just improve it by small increments. Make sure there's no back range checkmate. Make sure you dominate the knight here that's on f3 by playing h6, so the knight can't get into any advanced squares. And then you just bring the king into the game. And you would love the king to come into b5 and help promote the pawn here with the move b3, and then king comes up. So that will be Tacky Element's best plan in this game. Again, another quality game here that I'm looking at between two players. Very, high quality here. As here he plays knight to d7. I do not understand this move here, knight d7. I guess he wanted to get his knight off of the same file here. He was scared of knight d2 maybe, and he thought maybe he had to play rook c2. But he brings his knight away here. It'd have been more important for him to bring the king into the game if he was worried about any back rank checkmates. Move the king, guys. It's okay to move it. All right, we'll come back to this game. This game is very, very interesting. Let's go around the world, Junior Online, to see who else is playing here. Still 2 games left. We have Tall Foamy Angel versus Blue EP Chess here. Big time advantage, almost 8 minutes time advantage for Tall Foamy Angel. And the material in this position is also equal. But there is dueling pass pawns. There's an outside pass pawn on a4, and then there's a pass pawn on b4 for black. Queen to b3 is initiative attacking the bishop that's hanging. This bishop is a very strong piece. Can play the move bishop to c3. The bishop dominates the knight, by the way, on the square c3, covering d4, e5, and d2. So that's a really good position for this bishop here. And this game it's going to be an interesting game. It's a knight versus bishop imbalance here. And the knight is usually, or bishop is usually better when there's pawns on both sides of the board, especially when there's pass pawns on the board, because the knight isn't as fast, can't get to the other side as quickly as the bishop. As you can see, this knight is dominated here. Can't go to any of these squares because of the bishop. And even g5 is covered with the queen. I don't know. I might even look at now. Oh, I almost made a mistake. If we played h6, that would be a big blunder because a rook takes g6 check. The f7 pawn is pinned. h6 was just to relieve the queen's duty of controlling the g5 square, but you can't do that. It's possible to play king g7, getting out of all pins there because the bishop covers all the diagonals. That's possible too. You do have a move like queen to d7, and you can start to target the a4 pawn by first targeting the unprotected rook here. So queen e8 and queen d7 has to be a move. Blue EP Chess has a minute left on the clock. That's not a good sign. There's queen to d7 played. As Tall Foamy Angel has so much time to think about what to do here, as we see the move rook to c5. We might, and rook c5 is to control the g5 square, so this knight can finally come back into the game and help. As blue EP chess is thinking right here. Goes to dominate the d file. There's no sacrifices available right now. Tall Foamy Angel has more than 9 minutes. And the thing is, if you guys have a big time advantage, it's important to use that time. All right, as we see king to f1. I don't think that's actually a good move, because after queen d3 check, you're just going to go back to g1. It didn't really solve any of your problems, as that was played, queen d3 check. Now, there is a 5-second increment, hard to lose on time. You can just make a couple solid moves here. And then maybe queen to e2. Queen to e2 is possible. Wait. Wow, look at that. Bishop to b2. That was a pretty good move. Bishop b2 stops the connection, but hold on. Wow. Wait, what? Oh no, what did he just do there? And then the check happens, and that's game over. Oh, no, I'm sorry. There's a 91. Oh, no. Tall Foamy Angel, blue EP chess, thought he seen something, but it just didn't work. 91 was always there. So Tall Foamy Angel, Tall Foamy Angel, having the time advantage, was able to figure that out. That just loses a piece. He's still trying to operate with this passed pawn here. Okay, wait a minute. Hold on now. Whoa, something happened here too. Blue EP chess has just hit him with some tactics, because if queen takes b4, there's the fantastic rook takes e1 check, and you have to give up the queen. Ouch! What happened there? Tall Foamy Angel had plenty of time to break down his position, but this is a problem. This is over here. Black has a winning tactic. And he does it. Rook takes e1. Oh, I missed it. What is wrong with me? I missed. There's a queen takes e1. Okay. I did not take the 15 seconds of thought. I thought it was a mess in there. It seemed like a lot of tactics there that people were missing, but maybe it is not the case here. As we see rook to b1 or b8 check, there is the queen check here. Probably going to see rook to b7 check. Maybe queen to f4 check. There you go. Then queen takes f6 check. Rook takes h7 check. Okay. Oh, there was a queen here, so he couldn't go rook takes h7 check. There's, what is this? A queen to f3 check here. He plays f3. Have to step to h4. And then checkmate in 2. With queen takes h7 check. Queen takes h7. So he resigns that position. Wow, what a game. What a game there. Last game here is this game, Tacky Element versus Leon 1357. I don't know what happened. Looks like Tacky Element lost the pawns there. Let's go back a little bit. Now, he's trying to still draw this game here, but what happened with these pawns here? So, he did play f6. He took there. Oh, and then he blunders a pawn, trying to race another pawn there, and that was just a big mistake. Wow. And look at his knight there that's trapped. But here, I will say, if he's able to get rid of that last pawn, he would draw. If he can just get rid of the last pawn. But doesn't look like he was thinking about doing that. And here, it's going to be a win for Leon 1357. As Leon is trying to queen this final pawn here. Tacky Element has fell below 1 minute. This is the last game of the second round. We're going to see maybe king to h6. Just queening the pawn here, allowing the king to take the knight. And this is going to become a queen here. What's going on, Jeff Zhang? How you doing? That was a tough game there for Foamy, Tall Foamy Angel. Tough game. As Tacky Element has only 25 seconds left. And this is just going to be a simple queen and king mate. Black wants to, looks like Black wants to just wear down Leon 1357 because he's continued to play. This is a position that you can actually resign here. Now he's going to go to, okay. And what he wants to do is he's going to do the knight check method, shrinking the box around the king. Here comes the king here. That pushes Black's king backwards. Black king wants to stay as close to the center, hoping for a stalemate here. But with more than 7 minutes down, the move can be played here is, yep, queen to g4. And now the king just comes here to f3 and then queen g2. Checkmate is the game. All right. And now we're going to announce the players here on the first page.
All right. I think everyone's game is over. Yeah. Okay. All right. The next game will start in about 15 minutes, less than 15 minutes. So you guys,
okay,
I would say take about the next 12 minutes. If you have to go to the restroom, eat a snack, I would only take about 12 minutes because your games will start again. in about 14 minutes.
All right, and so Super Chester is on the first page. She is undefeated, same as Tall Foamy Angel, undefeated there. Oh, you know what?
Nathan, who
let
did
me
you
reset
play in the
this.
last game?
Leon,
Blue.
Leon is number one. Super
Who did
Chester
you
number two.
play?
Tall Foamy Angel.
I played.
number three.
I played.
What to do here as we see the move rook to c5.
Uh-oh. That's
What? I played blue chess.
Leon, 1357, Super Chester, Tall Foamy Angel, Full Happy, Season 10th Teeth, Tacky Element, Strange Bolt, Lightning, Alex, Johnny Stick Blue, EP, Chess. And we'll be back in around 12 minutes. See you soon. Okay, TC, you can go ahead.
okay. Sorry. I thought I was gonna type to everybody that we probably needed to be muted. Okay, so everyone's done. So like I said, you all have about 10 minutes. And Drew, we may need to find out about your iPad since you're not showing the video during your game. And that's important. That's one of the rules. I believe so Shreya, did you have an idea on how Dhruva can, using his iPad, still do his video?
Yeah, I think I'm making because I'm on an iPad right now, and I play. So I'm thinking.
I know.
Oh, go ahead, Alex.
You need to do split screen.
No, don't do split screen. Split screen's gonna make your Zoom go really, really bad. Split screen works for Lichess, and your Zoom is gonna be like.
No.
Yeah, I'm on an iPad, so I know.
Okay, so if you are
We just drag.
someone,
Or Drew, it depends on what kind of
Wow, look at that.
So try doing split screen. See if that works.
Yeah, drag the bottom bar up and then do Safari. If you're in Zoom, then drag Safari up onto your right, and then
Wait, Drew, do you have another device that can?
and then it'll be slide view mode, and take the top and put it to like the right, and then you'll have slide view mode. Maybe I can get my dashboard or something and play chess
I
on
have
that.
my lunch now, so I'll think of an idea and maybe I'll.
okay, thanks, Shreya. Thank you. Okay, did anyone else have any suggestions for Drew?
Probably
That's okay, Alex.
Just use Zoom on the iPad and then on another device use like Lichess or something.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do, Drew. If you haven't figured out how to make it both work on your iPad. Because your next game, you have to be seen, okay? So try to see if you can get another device.
Yeah, I'll get my other device on.
Thank you.
10 minutes until the next round.
Yes, 10 minutes. So if you all have to go take care of something, I would say take 8 minutes. No more than 8.
F1. I don't think that's actually a good move because after Queen D3 check, you're just gonna go back to G1.
Okay, so when I go to Zoom, does my camera off?
Yeah, so we can't see you now.
So that's why you do split screen.
I can't do split screen. I'm using
Okay.
the apps, not the website.
Oh, Drew.
Yeah, you can do it with the app. Yeah, you can do it with the app.
Your screen. Yeah.
Okay, so now your video's
I got
off
it.
again.
I got it.
Okay.
And now turn your video on while you're doing split.
Oh, it doesn't allow me to turn my video on while I'm on the split screen.
Cancel and then first start and then split screen.
Then your iPad's not on the latest version.
Go this one, or you have to use this one. You don't have to call a link.
Do you have another device?
Yeah, I think that's what his dad is trying to do, give another device.
Make this one.
Okay, we can see you now, Drew.
I'm not doing split screen.
Okay.
Split screen and see.
Okay.
Try split screen now because I might need this phone. Then you have to use a computer. Okay, it's switching up. Okay. Then we have to close this guy. Then let's sit there.